1.5. The growing impacts of climate change are being felt across every country, every region, every family. And at the same time, solutions and opportunities are emerging more clearly than ever, from the digital revolution to the rapidly falling costs of renewable energies. We must seize these developments if we are to remain competitive while building resilience, ensuring energy security, eradicating poverty and hunger, and promoting sustainable development with a view to the future. We cannot be short-sighted. In a time of serious geopolitical, socio-economic, and environmental challenges, as Jennifer mentioned, we must reinforce multilateralism. We must connect the climate regime to people's real lives, and we must advance structural adjustments beyond the Climate Change Convention to accelerate the implementation of the Paris Agreement. So first, as I mentioned in my letter 2 weeks ago, this year will mark two significant anniversaries. As I mentioned, the 10th anniversary of Paris, but also the 20th of Kyoto, are two great efforts to progress in discussing climate change multilaterally. These agreements have shaped our global climate framework, and yet the road ahead seems still long, and our task is to ensure that the momentum of these historical treaties is not just preserved, but is accelerated. COP30 will be an opportunity to reaffirm the importance of multilateralism at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. We know that no country can solve this crisis alone. We must work in partnership towards a common goal. In my letter, I refer to the Brazilian concept of mutirão, which refers to a community coming together to work on a shared task. By sharing this invaluable ancestral wisdom and social technology, the incoming COP presidency invites the international community to join Brazil in a global mutirão against climate change, a global effort of cooperation among peoples for the progress of humanity. Governments must do their part in this global effort by presenting ambitious national climate plans, our NDCs. Together, our national efforts must align with our shared determination to pursue efforts to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. Let us join forces in this global collective effort against climate change. Climate change is a global problem requiring a global solution. It demands unprecedented levels of international cooperation, solidarity, and shared responsibility. Moreover, we must not only engage governments, but also the diverse global communities, civil society, businesses, young movements, indigenous communities, scientific leaders. We are stronger together, and the solution to climate change is not within the hands of any one group. We must build a movement of movements, a coalition of diverse voices united by the common purpose of a sustainable and equitable future. Our approach must be inclusive, integrating all actors and ensuring that no one is left behind. At COP30, we must also connect negotiations to the real world of groups and individuals, showing the very concrete results from our regime to the daily life of people. It will be held in the heart of the Amazon. The Amazon plays a central role in regulating our climate, preserving biodiversity, and supporting the livelihood of millions. Hosting this conference in the Amazon region is a powerful reminder of the urgency to protect our most precious ecosystems and to understand their irreplaceable value in our global climate strategy. As we move forward, it is crucial that we recognize the deep inequities in the impact of climate change. Developing countries and vulnerable communities, particularly those in the global south, bear the brunt of climate impacts despite contributing the least to the problem. Climate justice is not a mere aspiration, it is a fundamental principle that must underpin every decision we make at COP30. We must ensure that the most affected communities are at the heart of our solutions and that we listen to their voices in shaping the way forward. While we gather here to continue negotiations and to listen to each other, let's not forget that COP30 must be a turning point. We have debated, we have discussed, and we have negotiated. Now it is time for implementation. The world is watching, the planet is waiting. The Paris Agreement is our shared roadmap for a sustainable future. The goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees is more urgent than ever. At COP30, we must recommit to this goal and work to ensure that every country strengthens its national contributions. But commitments alone are not enough. We must hold ourselves accountable to the promises made and ramp up our actions to meet these targets. We cannot afford to wait any longer. Current governance system, our state and multilateral capacities, are not prepared for the serious risks that science is warning us about. Climate change requires us to innovate towards new models for new challenges as past assumptions become obsolete and an exponentially changing environment and exponentially evolving and impactful solutions. At the G20 summit in Rio last year, President Lula invited the international community to explore the concept of a new UN Climate Change Council, a platform for climate cooperation capable of accelerating the implementation of the Paris Agreement and COP decisions by aggregating efforts that are currently fragmented. Though the incoming COP30 presidency humbly acknowledges it does not intend to present ready-made answers, it does have the determination to provoke critical questions, to be responded collectively, bringing together the best of wisdom and science. Among many political, economic, and environmental uncertainties, while avoiding new bureaucratic instances, international cooperation could benefit from a permanent platform for rapidly sharing data, knowledge, and intelligence, while leveraging networks and articulating resources, processes, mechanisms, and actors inside and outside the UN. It would be a platform to support also vulnerable countries in emergency situations, implementing the Paris Agreement and the decisions of the COPs. We have to make a difference locally by aligning efforts globally. We invite all those gathered at this dialogue to engage in open and constructive conversations, guiding by the spirit of these meetings, but also guided by the spirit of cooperation, of the mutirão spirit. So essential for tackling a challenge as complex as climate change, with its social, economic, and environmental dimensions so deeply intertwined. In the face of a shared global crisis, multilateralism and global governance are more necessary than ever. We cannot ignore the losses and damages that are already occurring, particularly in the most vulnerable countries, but it is essential that COP30 addresses this issue and others in a meaningful way. We need robust financial mechanisms to support those who are suffering due to climate impacts. We must ensure that the funds and resources reach those who are in need without delay. The private sector has a crucial role to play in the fight against climate change. Businesses are not only key to the implementation of sustainable solutions, but also essential drivers of innovation. COP30 will seek to strengthen the partnership between governments, businesses, financial institutions, subnational governments, ensuring that the private sector contributes significantly to the global transition to a low-carbon economy. Financial support for climate action remains a cornerstone of the global climate policy. At COP30, we must reaffirm our commitment to mobilizing climate finance, particularly to developing countries. The incoming COP30 presidency looks forward to working with the COP29 presidency in guiding the Baku to Belém roadmap to 1.3 trillion to scale up climate finance in developing countries. Although the number frightens many, the roadmap must serve as a fulcrum for leveraging finance to low-carbon and climate resilience pathways in developing countries. Indigenous peoples are guardians of the land and key players in our fight against climate change. By their example, their knowledge, tradition, and ways of life, they are invaluable in our shared journey towards sustainability. Also, peoples from the forest, as we call in Brazil, which include Afro-Brazilian communities that we call quilombola, are also an inspiration on thanks to their knowledge, traditions, and way of life. At COP30, we must ensure that indigenous communities, quilombolas, and other peoples of the forest are not only heard, but also respected in our decision-making processes. Their voices must guide our policies and strategies. While governments must lead, it is crucial that we recognize the role of cities, regions, businesses, individuals in the fight against climate change. The actions of local governments and citizens will complement the efforts at the international level. COP30 will strive to empower these actors and ensure that the response to climate change is seen as collective effort. Science and innovation will be the bedrock of our future climate solutions. COP30 will emphasize the need to continue the investment in research and technology, enabling us to unlock new solutions for mitigation and adapting to climate change as soon as possible, since we know time is short. The scientific community's contributions must therefore be central to our decisions and actions. Finally, as we gather here today, let us remember that we are united by hope. While the challenges are immense, the opportunities are equally significant. Our actions today will shape the future of our children and grandchildren and the generations to come. Together, we can rise to meet this challenge. Together, we will inspire the world to take the bold, decisive action that is needed to secure a sustainable and future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Obrigada. And with that, the public segment of the high-level segment today is closed. And that means I kindly ask the colleagues of the press to leave now the Weltsaal. Leaving means standing up. Thank you very much. As we continue here